Welcome to Whitetail Rendezvous Podcast. This is Bruce Hutchin, host and executive producer. Each week you will hear tips, techniques, strategies, and personal stories from some of the best and funniest whitetail hunters in North America. Hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you do, tell a friend on social media. If not, tell me and I'll make it better. Thanks for listening, folks. Hey, folks, we're going to head out to Pennsylvania and connect with Ryan Lange. I found Ryan, or we connected on Instagram because he just finished the Moab 240. What's the Moab 240? Well, one young man and a bunch of his friends, Cameron Hayes to be one of them, decided to run 240 miles in the Moab, Utah area. And why is this important? It's important because mental toughness is by far the greatest asset or can destroy you. Yeah, we got to be in shape, or you got to be in shape, or Ryan's got to be in shape to run this. And if for hunting, we've all got to be in shape, some more, some less. But when it comes down to push time, it's really what's between the ears that makes a difference between success and failure. So I hope you like the show. It's a little bit different. Ryan does hunt out east. He enjoys hunting. He's a student at Drexel University, and he's just one fine man that I'm really happy to introduce you. Hey, folks, you're hearing a treat today, and I got Ryan Lange. Who the heck's Ryan Lange? Well, I found out about him on Instagram and social media because he was hanging out with Cameron Haynes for 240 miles at the Moab ultra run. It's not a marathon; it's 240 miles. So, Ryan, welcome to the show, and we just burned through great content. I hope we can duplicate that for the listeners.
Bruce, thanks for having me on there. I appreciate it. I'm excited.
Hey, tell me why a sane Drexel University kid from out east Pennsylvania area would even consider doing 240 miles.
Funny question. A little bit of crazy. I did my first marathon. I did the Philly Marathon about 11 months ago, last November. And it was a pretty crazy feeling at the end. You just conquered a marathon. There's not many people that can say they did that. And it was a great feeling. So I figured, why not go further? So I did a 50K up in North Jersey. And it was in the trails, and I just absolutely fell in love with being out in the trails. And it turned out being a huge nor'easter snowstorm mid-race. So I was running in 2 feet, almost 2 feet of snow. I'd thrown on the traction grab things on my running shoes, so I wasn't slipping and sliding everywhere, and my hair was frozen, and it was just an awesome adventure. And my dad was pitting me, and he kind of fell in love with the adrenaline rush with pitting me too. So it was all kind of born there. And then I went and did the 50-miler out in March at Bald Head Island in North Carolina. It was called Badwater Cape Fear, and met a lot of really cool people there. That kind of solidified where I belong. A lot of the ultra running community is a very niche but very tight community, and people were very encouraging. Like, wow, have you done 100 miles yet? No. And then I sat down right as I crossed the finish line. I looked at my dad and said I could do 100 miles. So being a student at Drexel, it's actually unusual but interesting. So I actually go to school for 6 months, and then I will co-op. It's called. I'll work full time for 6 months. So this spring and summer, I had actually worked full time at a company out in Ballackinwood, which is right outside the city. So I had a lot of spare time on my hands after work. What else was I going to do? Kind of sit around in the city and play video games. So, I had nothing better to do. Might as well run. Might as well, get some exercise in. And started just going further and further, and felt like I was very confident with how I was building my training schedule, and how having 3 hours after work to go and run, it was easy. But it was a little mentally uneasy because I felt like I was, all I was doing was running. All my friends were asking me, why don't you come out? Why don't you hang out with us? And I don't know, I fell in love with it. And then I'd been following Cam Hanes for a while because I'm a pretty big hunter and I loved his mentality. And he had started talking about the Moab 240 on a podcast. I think it was on Joe Rogan podcast. I don't know, something. And I'd searched it and was like, wow, this is totally awesome. So I talked to family and friends and got a lot of people's opinions. And I told them I couldn't let October 13th go past without me towing that start line. And I said that to my mom, grandfather, and they were like, then do it. What's the worst that could happen? You go there and you fail. You only make it a couple, 100 miles, 150 miles. And I had the support of my whole family. I had the support of my dad, who was willing to come out and do this with me. And I stuck my head down and trained super hard from May until early September. It was very tough. It was definitely something you have to put the work in. But I'm the kind of person that if I see a road ahead of me and I know to take this step and take this road and you will get to here, I'm very confident with that. I don't like uncertainty. And this was something where I could set up a training plan. I could follow through with that training plan, and I could go into a race very confident that I'm going to succeed. And that's exactly what I did. So, being a student was just kind of one part of it. This was the time of my life, I guess, that it worked out. But it's kind of nice being in the minority. All the older people are, all the other people running this race were all late 30s, 40s. There's some 60-year-olds too. But yeah, that's kind of what my past 6 to 8 months of my life has been like.
And he is the youngest to finish that race. Is that correct?
It is, yes.
And we were talking about the mental aspects and physiology, but you were sharing with me, Ryan, that typically ultramarathoners and people that are going distances, they get better with age. But here you are at 20 years old. It's kind of like scary where the heck you're going to go.
Yeah. My dad was friends with an ultra runner, and he told him that I was going to do this, and the guy was like, "That's insane. Like your training schedule is absolutely like you're not going to be, your body's not going to withstand that." And I was like, whatever. Like I don't care. I'm going to try. I'm going to put forth my best foot. And age is just a number at this point for me. I don't have the experience, but I listened to podcasts, read books, talked to as many people as I could to gain as much experience that I hadn't had. And it worked out. It just shows that if you put in, I'm a big believer in, if you put in the work, there's nothing that could really get in your way. And that's, I kind of lived that philosophy through this past couple months into the race, and it succeeded for me.
Folks, what does all this have to do with Whitetail Roundup? One, I told you, how this came to be because I was intrigued what Ryan accomplished. But if you think back what he just said, okay, he trains, so you got to practice with your bow. Depending on where you're hunting, what you're hunting, you darn well better get in shape. Then 3 is it's the mental part of the hunt that's the hardest, in my opinion. Somebody would say, "Oh, that's no big deal," whatever. But to me, the mental aspect helps you close the deal, helps you get through that snowstorm or that flood or that fire or the avalanche. I don't know, but they happen every year out in the mountain, and they happen any place. Stuff happens, and if you're not mentally prepared, then you're kind of screwed. Your thoughts, Ryan?
Oh, I totally agree. I said to a lot of people, this race was 100% a mental fight. You can get yourself in good enough physical shape to want to attempt, but mentally and knowing your body, and when something goes wrong, how you're going to respond. My camelback bladder froze at about mile 110ish in the middle of the night. And it was very tough to not sit there and freak out about not having water for the next 5 miles, which would take me, pretty good did a good 2 hours with some climbing in it. I totally agree. You could be the strongest man in the world, the fastest man in the world, but if you have no mental strength, in my opinion, it almost becomes useless.
Now, since you've done this, how has your outlook basically on your life? I mean, 20-something years old, and you've got 80 years ahead of you, plus or minus. And what's this going to do for you?
Uh, First example is I was on the airplane coming back, and I had a lot of exams ahead of me because I just missed about a full week of school, and I didn't want to write down these note cards to be studying, but it was like you just ran 240 miles, you could do whatever you want, sit down, and get it done. So there I am, finished my note cards in like an hour on the plane, and it was very relieving. So I want to have that in my back pocket to always go to, be like, all right, you can do this. You ran 240 miles. What are you complaining about? And having that experience in the back of my head is something that's really what I've wanted for a while, but didn't really know how to find an avenue to it until I found running and ultramarathon running. I want to have the strongest, the most important muscle in the body is the brain. I think a lot of people neglect that. And now continuing to build that muscle, and it helps build a stress-free life as well. You go through a very tough experience to something that's persistent pain for a couple of days. There's not much that's going to bother you as easy as it did before because your brain is familiar with that pain. There's not a lot of stuff or things or events that could, be on the same level of that persistent pain.
Yeah, I'm visualizing. I've been in some of the country that you ran, and I'm going 240 miles. So you're in PA. You're in Philadelphia, or where are you at?
Yeah, so Drexel's in Philadelphia. I live in South Jersey, actually.
Okay.
So that's where I go home and hunt. I live on 13 acres of land, so we have some stands set up. It's great.
So I'm trying to fix this for our listeners. So we're on the East Coast, southern New Jersey. So from your house all the way down, got to be into the Carolinas, is 240 miles, isn't it?
Yeah, I think I measured it out. It's like to Richmond, Virginia, and my house is 240 miles.
Okay, so folks, Google that sometime. And how many days did that take you?
It took me a little over 3. It took me 86 hours and 12 minutes.
Okay. A little bit of time. And how much did you sleep?
Yeah. I I slept 6.5 hours. On the first night, I took a 10-minute trail nap in my bivy sack, which is just basically a big sack made out of tinfoil, just to keep me a little warm for the 10 minutes. You don't really fully go to sleep, just enough to get a quick recharge of the brain so that your eyes are open, you're coherent to look down trail. Then I did another one of those the next day, and then I took a 1-hour nap the afternoon of day 2, and then a 2-hour nap on late night of night 2, and then another 10-minute trail nap that late morning, and then a 3-hour nap the last morning, which it was that 3-hour nap was more so me, just complaining about the cold and wanting to get into a warm cot. So I think I could have gone 2 and finished. But yeah, sleep, you'd really be surprised, Bruce, of how much your body wakes up from just a quick 10 minutes of sleep and how much you could keep going from the full 2-hour nap. Day-to-day life, you really, you can't do that. But if you're going to just do that for a couple of days, your body is able to, stay intact and your brain's able to be there until the hallucinations hit. And then you start to have fun, but it gets a little weird.
Now, did you have any of those non-pharmaceutical, herbal, whatever you want to call them, hallucinations because of sleep deprivation?
Yeah, I definitely did. It was kind of something I was chasing. I was talking to my pacer about it before the race. Hallucinations without drugs, it's a win-win, So the first hallucination I had was right before I took my 2 hour nap of day two. I was close to an aid station, and I thought I saw a dog in the distance, and I was like, "Oh, someone's dog ran down trail." And I was, getting closer and closer, and it looked like it was staring at me, just frozen in the trail. So I was like, kind of like saying, here, doggy," and then like wasn't moving. So like, when you play with a dog, you like woof with it, and you like kind of jump around. So I found myself woofing at this non-existent dog, which actually, as I got 10 feet close to it, it was just a black log that looked like a dog in the distance, according to me. I started laughing at myself because I was like, this is it. Like, I'm experiencing it.
Yeah, it's all there in our mind. Again, going back to the mind, man. Mine was just tired, and I need some comic relief.
Seriously.
Oh, no, did you eat at all?
Oh yeah. Yeah. You need to constantly be eating. I was always carrying a lot of I'm sure you might have heard of them. They're called Goo energy gels. They're little 100-calorie packets of gel, which is easily digestible. But going for over 3 days, you obviously need to consume real food as well. So I was consuming, I ate a lot of bacon cheeseburgers, a lot of quesadillas. I tried to do breakfast burritos here and there, but the eggs kind of got to my stomach a little bit. Um, you know, just anything that they had that looked appealing, like your body's gonna crave what you want. So in the beginning, I was intaking way too much salt. So I got to aid stations, and I just couldn't even stand to like sniff a quesadilla or something at that point. All I wanted was sweet stuff and water. Um, but yeah, you have to be eating. Towards the end, I felt the lack of energy because I didn't eat enough the last day. But it's more so, if you eat a lot of food and you're running around, your stomach's going to be kind of in pain. But if you have a steady streamline of nutrition coming, every hour I try to be intaking a good amount of food, 200 to 300 calories. You have to be, or else you're not going to succeed. No matter how good of a runner you are or think you are, if you're not constantly drinking energy or eating energy, your body's not gonna be able to hold up.
No, your pit stops where your dad was waiting for it. Are they 20 miles apart? 15, 50? I don't have any idea.
Yeah, they varied. So some of them were 15, some of them were 18. Yeah, they varied pretty much every time. The longest one was a 21-mile stretch, but it was flat. So realistically, it's taking you just as long as a 15-mile stretch that goes up and down. But a very tough part, the whole canyon to Uwa Lake, that took me 9.5 hours. I was in the middle of the night. I was really in need of sleep, kind of falling asleep on my feet. So that's when I took one of my trail naps. Candace tried to put them in a good equal distance apart from each other. But it's very tough with the elevation. So.
Yeah. Wow. So, folks, what have we learned so far from Ryan? One, you got to train. Two, mental endurance. Three, if you're hiking every couple hours at altitude, doesn't matter where you're hiking. If you're burning calories, replace them continually. Don't wait for lunchtime when that big sandwich that you pack, peanut butter and jelly. And the other thing is hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. And that'll get you through any situation, in my opinion. Ryan?
Yeah, definitely. That's when I was starting the race. I was asking everyone, "What do I do? What do I do?" And the one guy said to me, "If you're hydrating right and you're eating right, you might be in a lot of pain, but the demons aren't going to get you then because your stomach and brain are still okay."
So let's switch it up, and you listen to a lot of podcasts and Cam Hanes, and you met a gazillion other guys and gals through this journey, and your journey is just beginning. Where's your future? Where's your brand? I don't know the right question to ask. I guess how are you going to create your brand?
That's a tough question that I've really been thinking about. For even before the race, if I completed this, where was it going to take me? It's hard. I don't know. You got to find your niche market. Cam found his in hunting. I don't know where mine is yet. I love being the center of influence for people. I get a high off of people saying, because Ryan Lang did this, I did this, or because Ryan Lang didn't quit, I didn't quit. I'm still in school, so there's still time to figure out, can I do something like this in the corporate world? It's very tough. It's something I think about it all the time, every day. What's the next step for me? Where can I take this? Is this something that I could then, maybe become very good in hunting? I don't know. I really want to venture out into going backcountry and going elk hunting and going on multiple hunting trips and multiple day trips. But I don't know where my brand's at. I don't know where my future is, what it holds. But I'm in the process of trying to figure that out.
Well, definitely, you're at a great university, so there's got to be some marketing people and social media. I think of where that can take anybody today without big, huge advertising budgets, TV and radio and and print and all that. People don't need that anymore. You don't need that, and it's a matter of just keeping, true to yourself. And I was smiling when you said corporate America. I'd hate to see you in corporate America because you intimidate the crap out of everybody. That's true. I'm laughing. But there's a lot of truth to what I just said because people go, "Oh my goodness, at 22, that guy did that, or 20 years old, he did that. How can I compete with that?" Blah 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 blah. You know the story, but it that's a truism. On the other side of that, you can go to corporations and say, "Look, I can help take your people and turn them up a notch, and here's how I do it." Blah 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 blah. And a lot of people do that in one shape or form. But see, you've already created. You've got credentials that nobody can ever take away from you.
Right.
That's exciting.
Yeah,
I mean,
it
I'm
definitely
cheering
is.
for you right now. I'm going, go Ryan, go.
It's something that's still definitely settling in too. How do I take what I've done and apply that to my future? And it's tough to think about because there's not many people to go to. That's why I tried to talk to Cam a little bit, but I wish I had more time on my hands to ask him. How does he take his life to the next level into the future? I know he marketed himself on Instagram and YouTube and such, but it's tough. It's not easy to do. That's why there's not a lot of people that are a big brand.
Yeah, but Cam's a perfect example. Like when we talked in the warm up, he pushed his body. He loved the hunt, and then he realized, the more he pushed his body, the more he wanted to get into fitness, and then more, and then all the people, Cam Haynes, to watch how he hunted, where he hunted, is remarkable. Very remarkable. And so, through all that, and it took time. That's the other thing. It took time, but today he's a great ambassador because he took the time to talk to you, and he talks to people that are serious, and he's out there helping people grow. In my opinion, I don't know the gentleman. I've never talked to him, but I've viewed him, and I've seen his posts and what he's done. Ergo, how he was really blown away by you, and that's why I reached out to you. I'm going, I got to talk to this kid.
Yeah, yeah, it's a fight. I'm figuring it out. I'm trying to, and being on this podcast, what you're saying to me is even further just helping me, just talking to you, because you've obviously created a pretty good brand with your podcast. But yeah, I'm gonna see. I'm gonna still at the end of my celebration mode from the race.
That'll never end.
And then I'm gonna start thinking about what's next, because I'm the kind of person I need to be working towards something somehow.
What's your major right now?
Right now my major is finance and real estate development and management.
Okay. I'm thinking, if you came to me and said, okay, where should I go today? Social media, MBA, there's got to be some place that teaches that. And you don't have to go to Wharton to do that. But,
Yeah.
social media, MBA, where they take all the drivers from it and all the stuff. Because believe it or not, social media is as small as it's ever going to be today, right now, this second.
Right.
It's expanding. It's not one of these things. I did some .com stuff, and you could see these bricks and mortar buildings, and realizing 5 years, 10 years down the road, a large portion of their business was going to come from e-commerce, from websites and all the other stuff. And inventories didn't need a store; they just build warehouses, right?
Right.
And see, and, talking to you, I'm thinking, okay, how would I do that? Why would I do that? And then you start framing what you love to do, and then start packaging it. And you've already did it. You talk to your friends, neighbors, grandpa, grandma, whole family, and buddies from school, gals from school, and say, okay, we're gonna create a white paper. We're gonna create a case study, and I'm the guy. But here's the deal. Everybody, this thing takes off. Everybody's going to get friends and family stock or whatever, options or whatever. So you give everybody a little love, and then you create your own company. It might not be called, Ryan Lange, but it might be, 240. That's a perfect one, actually.
Right.
Just call your company 240, because people are going to 240 what? Let me tell you the story. Well, no. And if anybody steals that, I'm going to come to your house, and you know what the rest of the story is. That's Ryan's.
Yeah, that was great.
That's kind of funny.
That was good. Yeah.
Yeah, but something like that, some huge thing, and then you just build it out, and you take all your skills and your drive and your abilities, because you far outstrip some 56 years old right now, because gazillion people would never do what you did. They would.
Yeah. Yeah. If they could, I think there's a lot more people that could do what I do, but it's just putting in the work and actually executing with it. All my friends are like, dude, how did you do this? I'm like, I'm just the man that put in the work. That's all it really comes down to. And now it's, the hard work. My family our motto is PD, persistence and determination. And the man that works the hardest, no matter how strong, smart, fast his competitor is, the man that works the hardest is usually the man that's going to win. And the man that wants it the most is the man that's going to come out on top. And that's kind of where I'm at. That's where I was at with this race. And, I put in the hard work and I succeeded. So I just have to figure out how to translate this, like you're talking about, how to move this, the hard work and the PD that I have, and moving this into the real world. But just hearing what you have to say is really already stimulating some thoughts, and it's good. You got good stuff.
Thank you. And I'm here to help you. You know how to get a hold of me, and I don't charge $1,000 an hour. I told that guy once, asked me, well, what do you charge an hour? I said $1,000 plus expenses. He goes, what? Nobody's worth that. I said, I am. Oh, back in the day, I had a lot of fun. Still do. I still do.
Good.
But
I hope you do.
Oh, I do. No question about it. But in all seriousness, if you have any questions, Ryan, you know how to get a hold of me. Ring me up if you want to talk on the phone. That's good. Because to invest in people like you is huge. It's just huge, because the life you're going to touch, and this is flat out truth. The life that you're going to touch between now and my age, it's going to be astronomical. And you're going to look back and you're going to go, why did that happen? And you and your father and your family and other friends know why it happened, but people are just going to marvel. And because you have something tremendously, inherently powerful.
Thank you. That's awesome to hear coming from you. I think you're talking me up a little bit, but no, I'm kidding. But no, it's great to hear you say that, and I hope to do just what you're saying. That's kind of what my goal is in life. It's kind of feel like what my calling is to help people realize what their potential is. And I'm just the average dude, just putting in the hard work. I have a lot of potential, so I feel like that there's some way that I could help other people realize that.
I would agree. And no, I'm not talking you up. There's nothing in it for me. Absolutely nothing, except seeing a young man like yourself, begin their journey and realize the tremendous potential that they have.
Right.
Any last comments? Why don't you give some shout outs to the race directors or whoever you met along the trail or whatever you want to do? We got about a couple minutes. You can give some shout outs, then we're going to wrap the show.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Candace Burt is the lady that ran the race, and she does all three of her Bigfoot, Tahoe, and Moab 200s. And the planning and the work that goes behind it is just insane. My dad walked in the communications room, and he was just blown away from it. And he works in the communications field. So all hard work that gave me the chance to do something like this. I can't thank her enough. Really good girl, really good lady too. She's really nice. And I went to an ultra running camp in Memorial Day weekend in May. CTS Train Right. Them and Coach Jason Coop, who actually wrote a book, Training Essentials of Ultra Running. I wouldn't be in the position I am right now without him, because he kind of taught me how to figure out my body, and he gave me everything I need to know about ultra running. And my dad, he came and sat in Moab and chased me around in an F-150 for 8 days, and took off work. It's tough to find people that are willing to do that for you. And, there's a lot more people that, I wouldn't be in this position I am without them, but those three people are huge, big inspirations in my life. And obviously, Cam Haynes is the guy that started me on, trying to find my full potential and realizing that most things in life are just all mental. And thank you. I really, really appreciate you bringing me on your podcast. I've been listening to podcasts today from you. I really enjoy it. It's a great thing to be running to. Perfect, close to an hour too. So I get a podcast, 2 of them in, one from you and one from elsewhere. But thank you. I really appreciate coming on your show, and the words you had to say for me made me feel really good and starting to think a lot more, how to bring a brand. And you have a lot of good words, and you're definitely someone that I'm going to keep in contact with. So thank you.
Ryan, my pleasure on behalf of thousands of listeners. And we're going to crack before the end of the year. 200,000 people have listened to my show. And I was talking to my buddy, my partner the other day. I go, do you believe it? We filled Lambeau Field 3 times with listeners of Whitetail Rendezvous. That blew me away.
Yeah, if you think about it, that's a lot of people.
Boy, it is. And I've been to Lambeau a bunch of times, so I know where they sit. I'm going, holy right. I digress, folks, but that's the exciting part of what we're in digital technology, social media, all the things thrown in. We're creating things today that would never be possible a few years ago. And with that, Ryan Lange, thank you so much for being a guest on Whitetail Rendezvous.
Thank you. It was an honor.
Hey, today we're heading down to Louisiana, and we're going to meet up with Jem Cesar. And Jem is a 19-year-old passionate whitetail hunter. As you know, that you can kill multiple bucks and does in Louisiana, and every year Jem does his best to fill his tags. But more than that, at the age of 19, he's got a handle on a lot of things that some people struggle with, such as, just hunting for food, forget the bone, how to prepare, how to be on your game every time you get in the tree stand. The other thing is that he understands the white-tailed deer, and he's going to share some of his secrets with us today. So, Jem, it was a pleasure having you on the show, and I can't wait to share you with my guest.
Thanks for joining us. Be sure to tune in tomorrow for another episode of Whitetail Rendezvous, where you can listen and learn from the experts so you can be more successful on your next hunt. Until next time, listen, learn, and succeed.